Hey crafty friends, it's Rick. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making some super cute tags using products from Pixi Dust Designs and doing some color pencil coloring. So let's get into it. Alright, so for today's project I'm using the Peekaboo Heart Tag B dies, the Bella Flowers paper pad, the Pixi Dust Stamp Set, and the Fairy Pixie Cuts. I'm going to color all my images up. I've stamped them out on some color pencil friendly paper with some color pencil friendly ink, and I'm going to color these up with my color pencils. So these are the Artistico color pencils. So I have just picked 3 shades of a Caucasian flesh tone and colored each of those 2 fairies up. And for this one I'm doing an ethnic fairy, so I've picked 3 different shades of browns and colored her up. I'm using a dark brown, a light brown, and a medium brown, and I started using a different Caucasian color there for a second to add some little highlights in, and then I came back and added a overlay of a sienna color. For the mushroom house, I ended up coloring the top in a red color. For some reason, I just think mushroom tops should always be red. It's just a thing. I tried to base all my coloring from the pattern paper. It's the Bella Flower paper pad is where I pulled all my colors from. And I'm coloring up the inside of the underneath of the mushrooms in a beige, a couple of different shades of beige, as well as the bottom of the mushroom house. I did the same thing. I picked 3 different shades of beige and added my dark, medium, and lights. For the grass, I chose some mint colored greens. So I've added those in. I'm just going to color those in. I'm going to color their hair. I did one as the dark hair, one as a brunette, and one as a blonde. The one I'm coloring right now reminds me of Winifred's hair from Hocus Pocus. So I wouldn't be expecting at Halloween you might see this again and it's a Hocus Pocus type image, because I'm going to totally try to pull that off. So we're going to just color up the rest of our little fairies' hairs. And again, I just used those 3 different shades. For blondes, I just picked 3 different shades of yellow, a light, medium, and a dark. And started out where I wanted the darkest and then blended out to my lightest. And remember, when you're using colored pencils, the more you layer, the better your coloring will look. So that's something to keep in mind. For this little fairy, I decided I wanted her to match her little bee. So I colored her up so that she was basically black and yellow. It's like a little bee. So I colored her dress black. I used a couple different shades of black and gray, dark grays to color that. I'm going to color the door of the mushroom house now. And I'm just going to, sorry, Louie came over to say hi. So I just picked those same 3 shades and I've colored the rest of their outfits up to kind of match their tags that are the papers that I pulled for their tags. Because I did pull 3 different patterns of paper to make the tags with. And I'm just kind of pulling those colors around and keeping everything cohesive with the same colors. I did add in gold pencil for the crowns and the doorknobs or door latches. For this top part of the mushroom house, I decided to do it in a lavender color and then use that same color on our little fairy's dress with the flowers here. I did add a little pink into that to blend it out. And then for their wings, I added just a little tint of blue. And then I'm just coming back in and touching anything up that needs to be touched up. I did, so we added a little bit more darker pink into that to kind of change the tone. And then for our cobblestone, I just did it in a couple gray colors. And then the nice bright yellow mat at the door. And I'm going to do that same color up at the top on the flower part of the roof. And then I'm going to finish up my coloring here in just a second. We're adding just the final little details in each one of the images, coming back and adding another little layer of color where we needed it. And then I will cut those out with the matching dies. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my 3 pieces of pattern paper that I've picked to use. And then I'm going to cut those out with the Peekaboo tag dies. And I can get one whole tag from a half of the sheet of pattern paper. So I've cut all those out. And then I've also cut, I used the little stitch die and cut out 3 hearts for the inside of my tags. And I didn't cut the outside, and here I am going to cut out my little pixie fairies. I ended up not using the mushroom house, but I went ahead and cut it out anyway, and I'll just save that for a different project later on. So I'm laying out my little inside hearts, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment on the inside. You can see everything from the inside the stitch line, so you're pretty safe to stamp wherever on the inside. And then you have a little room to write on the inside also. But now we're just going to take and attach those to the inside of our heart tag. So I'm just laying that in, and I'm going to take that was the most solid heart. You can tell which one goes on top because it has the little window there with the little score lines to make it fold up. So I'm just going to attach those together, and then this is my advice. Don't crease the score line yet. Wait until you get it all assembled. But as long as you stay on the outside of that tag edge, you're pretty safe to attach everything together. That one gave me a little bit of fit because it had the solid white background. So I wasn't sure which way it had to go. I had to double check. So I'm just going to line those up, pinch it into place with my fingers. Now you should be able to get that and fold those score lines up. It makes it a lot easier. Don't do it like I did the first time. Wait until you get it all assembled. And you see it go just around the edge, layer them together, and just pinch them in. And that way I get the perfect little heart-shaped tag. I think these would make great little Valentine tags also for a school or even Valentine's. They would be super cute for that. Now we're just going to add some baker's twine that I had in my stash. I'm just going to run it through and pull that off and cut it into a little loop or slip knot. That's what it's called, a slip knot. So just make a little loop, run it through the hole. You could cut the reinforcer if you wanted to. I decided not to and just looped it through. And then I'm going to take, after I do the last one here, I'm going to come in with just a little bit of ribbon from my stash and tie a little bow on each of them. And I'm just going to wrap the ribbon around. Don't have to have a lot. You can just tie a little bow on there just to add a little extra something. You can also loop the bow through the tag to the tag holder, the little loop at the top, whatever that's called. Loop it through that and tie a bow into that, and that would be easy too. I think I did that on one of the cards. So then I'm just going to take and layer my little fairy on each of the tags, and I'm going to add it to the tag by adding a little foam tape. We're just going to pop them on there. I just kind of did them alternating, and you can see the inside. We're just add each one of our little fairies on there. I just make sure when I'm adding it not to add it foam tape where it's going to seal it shut or across the score line so it won't open. Make sure you're down a little bit so that you can get that nice and open. See, I did 3 different pieces of ribbon from my scrap ribbon container. It was perfect. And I just tied little bows on there just to add a little bit of extra something. I did go back at the end and add a little bit more bling. I'll show you that in a second. I did have to fiddle with that bow a little bit to make sure it was nice and straight. Then I can cut it off. And then this is where I was like, oh, let me just slip it through. So I just looped it through the little hole and then tied it into a nice little bow. I don't know why I didn't think of that to begin with. There's a look at all the tags. And I'm going to come back in and add my little gel pen highlights with my white Secure Core gel pen. And add just here and there, just touches of little highlights on them to finishing touch. And then I'm going to add a little clear overlay glitter pen to each one of them in certain areas. I added it to the butterfly and to their hair and their bodies, and then to my little bee and the little honey stick. And I also added a little Stardust Stickles in certain spots just to add just a little bit more bling to the cards or tags because they were so simple. And once I get all that on there, They're super easy to put together. There's a look at all 3 tags with their inside sentiment. You can see how it peaks. I just think they're super cute. And here's a closer look at all the tags. And if you like this project, you're probably going to like this video coming up next. I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you. Stay crafty.